Interim injunction order issued preventing the arrest of 5 people, including the mayor of Kurunagala.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. On to your lead story now. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa today requested the new parliamentarians to set aside personal agendas and join the constitutional change that the people want. The Prime Minister invited these MPs to do so while addressing a workshop which commenced in Parliament today.
This workshop is being held for the MPs elected for the first time. 81 new members of Parliament who participated in the workshop will be briefed on the procedures to be followed in Parliament. 65 members of Parliament were elected for the first time at the general election and 16 members secured seats through the national list this time. Thereafter, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa spoke to the new members of Parliament.
It doesn't matter if you are young, have a position, have a family legacy, or have any educational qualifications. If you do not do your duty properly, there will be no point, regardless of whether it's big or a small responsibility. Be it the port or the civil aviation sector, every work is important. We believe all these responsibilities are important to work for our country. Some people expect a ministerial position as soon as they get into Parliament. Some even have asked for a ministry. They give various reasons telling, I want to work for my district, sir. Give me a position where I can work for the country. This means there is some hope about these people. But keep in mind, it is not a minister who is sent to Parliament. You are an MP, a representative of the people. No matter what powerful minister you are now, if you don't do your duty as an MP, people will not hesitate to send you home. We do not have time to rest or to take revenge.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa also emphasized the need for a constitutional change to fulfill the aspirations of the people.
People are expecting a massive constitutional change. The people hope that the new constitution will rectify the mistakes of history. We believe that all personal agenda should be set aside and the aspirations of the people should be fulfilled first. The constitution should not be about one group. It affects all of us. Every comma in it affects our lives. Therefore, I think it is our responsibility to act without party affiliations in the process of drafting the constitution demanded by the people.
The workshop is scheduled to be held at the Parliamentary Complex tomorrow as well. Minister Vimal Veeravansa has said that formulating laws by targeting an individual is unacceptable. He made these remarks during an exhibition at Diyatha Uyana today.
If the 19th Amendment had been brought forward targeting an individual, those laws must be abolished. I'm not referring to the provisions on dual citizenship alone. Any law must not be brought forward by targeting a person. There is no need to enact laws targeting a person or to even grant them positions. It is wrong even if we do it or if the previous governments had done it. Laws must not be prepared targeting a person. It must be done to strengthen the government's power.
මේ වෙලාවේ කොවිඩ් නිසා බරපතල ව්‍යසනයකට පත් වෙලා තියෙන ශ්‍රී ලංකා මාතාව මේ හදිසියේ කවුද කිව්වේ මේ 19 වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕන දෙයියනේ ආර්ථිකය කොට ගන්න වැඩ ටිකක් කරන්නේ නැහැ නේ මේ මිනිස්සු කියලා හිමිට උදන අවුත්
සභාවේ සිනා කියලා කියන්නේ
පළාත් සභා මැතිවරණේ තව කල්ලේ
පළාත් සභා මැතිවරණය ගැන දැන් මෙහෙම අනාවක කියන්න බෑ
මැතිවරණ කොමිසම සභාපතිවරයෙක් ඉල්ලුවා ඉක්මනින්ම මැතිවරණය පවත්වන්න
මැතිවරණ කොමිසමේ සභාපති.
It would have been better if the election commission chairman had made this statement during the previous government. They were lethargic at that time and are now asking us to expedite the process. It's better if the chairman retires before that.
පටන් කියන්න තියෙන්නේ.
මේක අවුරුදු 4ක් කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව දුවනව නම් ඕක නෑනේ දැන්. ඉතින් ඕක ඕනෙම නෑනේ. නැති කරලම දාන්න පුළුවන්.
ඔව් ඒක තමයි අපි මේ හිතේ තින්නේ.
Meanwhile, Douglas Devananda, who leads the EPDP party that is allied to the government, expressed his views on the stance of State Minister Sarath Weerasekara on provincial councils.
I was a person who thoroughly opposed the 13th Amendment. Therefore, I feel that the establishment of provincial councils through the 13th Amendment is a twist of fate. However, until we abolish the harmful amendments, we wish to state that we will not grant any form of land and police powers to provincial councils.
My position is the same. It was not only the people in South who have been against that. Tamil leaders were also against it. The LTTE leadership was also against it. Everyone, including the Tamil National Alliance, was against it. We sought an alternative. My stance is that is important. This is practical. Even India has called for full implementation of this. That won't happen. This is like asking a person what he will do if the sky falls. It will not happen. But I am worried that I didn't get enough votes and seats as expected. If I got what I expected, I could have solved these issues.
During a media briefing of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna yesterday, Minister of Education Professor G.L. Piris expressed critical views on the recent meeting between the Tamil National Alliance and the Indian High Commissioner. He said that the TNA could have discussed the provincial council election with the government that has a two-thirds majority of the public mandate before discussing it with the Indian High Commissioner. Meanwhile, Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle met with Minister G.L. Piris yesterday. According to a statement issued by the Education Ministry, the assistance that could be obtained from India to develop education and vocational skills sectors had been discussed in the meeting. The Indian High Commissioner had said that India would be able to train mentors in the technical, professional, educational and training fields. The Education Ministry said that senior officials including Minister G.L. Peters, State Minister Sita Arambepola and Education Secretary K.K.C.K. Pereira were among those present at the discussion. High Commissioner Gopal Bagle has said that India is currently offering the Mahatma Gandhi Scholarship for students as part of efforts to develop the education sector and that India would be willing to support sectors that need special attention if they are identified. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress called on Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle this afternoon. The Sri Lanka Muslim Congress Deputy Leader Nazir Ahmad said that matters concerning the 13th and 19th amendments had figured during the meeting. He said the negative impact of the abolition of these amendments on minority communities had been discussed during the meeting. The Sri Lanka Muslim Congress had told the Indian High Commissioner that they would require India's assistance to prevent such negative impacts. According to Nazir Ahmad, the Indian High Commissioner had said that he would take the maximum possible measures on a diplomatic level in this regard. Meanwhile, the SLMC had requested the Indian High Commissioner to assist in expanding the Batticaloa airport to facilitate direct flights between Batticaloa and India. They had also requested to take steps to establish an Indian consulate office in Batticaloa. In a tweet published about the meeting, Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle said that attention had been drawn towards strengthening ties between Sri Lanka and India. The High Commissioner said that assisting Sri Lanka to achieve peace and development remains a priority in India's neighbourhood first policy.
Minister Uday Gammampilla challenged parliamentarian C.V. Vigneswaran for an open debate today. Now this was in connection to a recent statement made by the MP in Parliament.
Vigneswaran's statement will not become a lie simply because of the heavy objection raised against it. It will become a lie only when it is proven to be so. I am ready to prove that his statement is a blatant lie. Therefore, I challenge C.V. Vigneswaran for an open debate on whether the Tamils were the first inhabitants of this country. Luckily for this country, the people in the north have rejected extremism. Only 21,554 people voted for him in Jaffna. The people in the north voted for Angajan Ramanathan, who received 36,365 votes, and Douglas Devananda, who received 32,146 votes, as they promised to join the government to boost development instead of separatism. Therefore, it is clear that the people in the north are not willing to move forward with Tamil separatists any further.
Tamil
is an old language dating back hundreds of thousands of years. Several international organizations have accepted it since it gained classical language status. The request to remove the remark that it was used by ancient humans from the Hansard and the statement made by the speaker that he would look into this matter are low-level acts against democracy. If that happens, we will file complaints with international bodies including the International Parliamentary Forum and the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association.
We recently
saw how the TNA discussed with the Indian High Commissioner and how it was criticized by the government, especially how G.L. Piris criticized, saying that such discussions are wrong and the TNA should discuss provincial councils with the government and not with India. After giving such a statement, we saw how GL Peiris went on to meet the Indian High Commissioner. He says that he went to discuss educational matters with the High Commissioner. Even the Muslim Congress, after meeting the High Commissioner, said that they discussed about developing the Batiklo airport. The main concern we have here is whether our country's future decisions are made by foreign countries. This is a serious problem. We are a sovereign state. If we continue like this, we will only have to sell our resources in return to the things we get from foreign states. These interferences are a big issue for our country, a threat to our resources.
Meanwhile, the Samaga Jana Balawegya has emphasized that attempts to amend the constitution instead of bringing in a new one carry an ulterior motive.
On their political platforms, they campaigned for a two-thirds majority to carry out extensive work. Instead of doing that, they are now talking about constitutional amendments. They have a two-thirds majority in parliament. If the existing constitution is not good, they can bring forward a new constitution and obtain parliamentary approval along with a referendum. Why are they making minor amendments? They are bringing these amendments to cater to the needs of the Rajapaksa family and to appease them. That is very dangerous. I feel that all those who respect democracy must stand up against it.
The
19th Amendment took the country forward. The 18th Amendment dragged the country backwards. If they are bringing forth the 20th Amendment to pave way for Basil Rajapaksa's entry and to ensure the sustenance of their family, we will oppose it. We will support the 20th Amendment if it is good. However, if the 20th Amendment is not good and if it drags the country backwards, we are ready to fight against it.
Discussions between the Working Committee of the United National Party over its leadership and its national list seat ended in a stalemate today.
The Working Committee of the UNP convened today and was presided over by the leader of the United National Party, Ranil Wickremesinghe. The meeting, which was held for nearly 3 hours, ended inconclusively.
කරු ජයසූරිය මේ මහතාට ආරාධනාවක් කරනවාද මොකද වෙන්නේ? කරු ජයසූරිය මහත්මයාට මේ
A person who is not a member of the party cannot hold a post within the party. He should obtain party membership first.
දැන් සමාජිකෙක් නෙමෙයි. සමාජිකෙක් නොවන කෙනෙක්ට පක්ෂ නිල්තරයක් දරන්න බෑ. ඉස්සෙල්ලා එතුමා පක්ෂ සමාජිකත්වය ගන්න ඕන. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි කරන දේ කරන්න වෙන්නේ.
එතකොට එතුමාට ආරාධනා කරනවද ඔබතුමාලා?
There was no such decision made today. There was a discussion regarding the matter, but a decision was not reached. The leader has been issued notice to appear at the Presidential Commission in early September. Once that is done, we will convene once more and resolve these matters by the first week of September.
Meanwhile, Samaga Jana Balawegya parliamentarian Nalin Bandara expressed these views on the leadership of the United National Party. The election results clearly depicted to the country who is suitable for the leadership of the UNP. It was the child that obtained 54 parliamentary seats. The people, especially the United National Party supporters, know the current situation. The party is with Sajith Premadasa as the Samaga Jana Balawegya. Sirikota, that is filled with high-class people, are now hunting for antiquities for the party leadership. We know Karu Jayasuriya is a good person, but why do they need a leader now? There is no one with the people's mandate who can become the leader. He is trying to tarnish his own reputation by vying for the post.
A group including former municipal councillor Fazlan Feroz staged a protest in Kalutara demanding the resignation of Ranil Wickremesinghe as a leader of the United National Party.
We are asking Ranil to go home at least now. He is not engaging in politics in a noble manner. Although he is accepted in the international community, he does not have the acceptance locally. Take a break at least now. Karu Jayasuriya joined Mahinda Rajapaksa with 17 parliamentarians. He has forgotten that by now. It is the leader who holds the expectations of the poor who rules the country. Therefore, Karu or anyone else cannot become the leader. The system must be changed in the future.
කරු ජයසූරිය මහත්මයා හිටපු කතානායකවරයා එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ නායකත්වයේ බාර ගන්න සූදානම්ය. එහෙමනම් එතුමා කලකා බලන මේ අර පැත්තට පොඩ්ඩක් හිටුලා යන්න කියලා එහෙම හිතුවා මේක ඔබතුමාලාට තර්ජනයක් වෙන්න.
මලමිනියක් බාර ගන්න ඕනේ එම්බාම් කරන කෙනෙක්. එම්බාම් කිරීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා නම් ඒ මලමිනිය බාරගත්තට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ.
While the United National Party has found itself in a crisis after the election defeat, India's Congress Party is facing a massive crisis at present.
Party stalwarts had recently challenged the leadership of Sonia Gandhi while calling for her resignation from the position. Sonia Gandhi had prepared to resign from her position by stating that someone other than a person from the Gandhi family must be chosen for the post after a letter had been released with the signatures of 23 seniors within the Congress party. Amidst this crisis, the Central Working Committee of the Indian Congress had held a 7-hour-long discussion yesterday. It was then announced that Sonia Gandhi would continue to remain as the leader of the party. Seniors who challenged the leadership of the party came under heavy scrutiny from the faction that supports former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and the Gandhi family. Manmohan Singh had requested Sonia Gandhi to remain as party leader until a meeting is convened with all members in 6 months. The Congress party had decided that it would not allow any individual to weaken the party or to trivialize the party leadership. Following the meeting, Sonia Gandhi issued a letter stating that she had no grievances with anyone who had opposed her leadership and that she was willing to work with them despite being offended over the matter. Certain Congress party stalwarts are of the stance that Rahul Gandhi must be appointed as party leader in the event of Sonia Gandhi's resignation.
The Criminal Investigations Department seized close to 12 kilograms of heroin with a street value of over 100 million rupees hidden in the garden of a house in Bratgama.
The operation was launched by the CID based on information extracted from a suspect arrested yesterday, along with a stock of drugs, 2 T-56 assault rifles, 2 pistols and bullets were seized by the Criminal Investigations Department. According to the CID, the heroin and the weapons belong to the notorious underworld criminal Janit Madhushankar De Silva, alias Podilasi. Podilasi's mother was arrested in Pannipitia yesterday. She was arrested by the Crimes Division of Western Province North and was produced in court over charges of using money earned from large-scale drug trafficking. The Homagamba magistrate ordered the suspect to be remanded until tomorrow. At the time of the arrest, the suspect was in possession of 51,000 rupees in cash, 5 mobile phones and a bank account book. Meanwhile, 2 more female suspects were arrested in Dehiwala and Buralla over charges of smuggling drugs. Police have found out that the female suspect arrested in Dehiwala had transferred 140 million rupees through 5 bank accounts. Based on an investigation conducted on the bank accounts and the assets owned by the suspects arrested in Buralla, a vehicle and a motorbike that were purchased from the money used by peddling drugs were seized by police.
The Court of Appeal issued an interim injunction order preventing the enforcement of the warrants issued for the arrest of the Kurunagal Mayor Tushara Sanjeeva and 4 others on the 7th of this month.
Court of Appeal President AHMD Nawaz and Justice Sobhita Rajakaruna ruled that the order will be in effect until the 5 petitions filed by the petitioners are taken up for examination and a final verdict is delivered. The respondents, including the Kurunegala magistrates who were named in the petitions filed by the Kurunegala mayor and 4 others, were issued notice to appear in the Court of Appeal on the 15th of September. The bench said its order is not an obstruction on the investigations taking place into the demolition of the Kurunegala King's Assembly Hall and pointed out that the petitioners must cooperate with the ongoing investigations. Court also ordered the suspects to appear at the Kurunegala Magistrates Court on Wednesday or Thursday. The bench ordered the respondents not to arrest or remand the suspects on that day. Senior State Counsel Madhava Tennakon from the Attorney General's Department informed court that objections would be filed with regard to the order. The Court of Appeal ordered the objections to be filed at the next court session.
This is the 21st century. At a time where the rest of the world evolves, there are some villages in our country which have been stuck due to loopholes in regional development projects. The following report is a perfect example.
This is the Stomulla Bridge that connects the Galahitiya village in Palindanuwara and Velgama village in Bulat Sinhala. The construction work of this bridge that grants people of more than 700 families to cross from one village to another commenced on the 19th of March 2014. However, the construction had to be halted in 2015 with the change of governments. The situation at present, however, is that residents of these areas do not have a bridge to reach neighboring villages.
One day there was a high water level in the river. I slipped from the raft and fell into the water. As I knew how to swim, I managed to hang on to the raft. My father died after he fell into the river when he was transporting children on the raft. The regime before the Good Governance government started the construction, but as soon as the Good Governance government came into power, they took all the material and left.
This is the easiest and shortest way for the villagers of Galahitia to reach the Pimpura hospital and the cities of Matugama and Pulatsinhala. Now, the villagers have no choice but to reach their destinations on a raft. Sometimes the raft has to be steered by villagers themselves. On days where water levels in the river are high, children are deprived of going to school. The only request of these villagers from the newly appointed government is to construct this bridge.
The project that was initiated to manage rainwater in Colombo city is currently underway. The construction of the new Mutwal tunnel, which was a part of the project, was completed recently.
A speciality of the project is the construction of the tunnel in Colombo after the British rule in the country. 2 tunnels will be constructed as part of the project in which China Petroleum Pipeline Engineering Company Limited will serve as the contractor. The Mutwal tunnel that has been constructed spans 760 meters. The tunnel begins from the point in which it has been merged with the Alutmavata Canal and runs into the sea to the north of the Mutwal Fisheries Harbour. The second tunnel will begin from Torrington in Bauda Lokamavata and will run into the sea from Bambalapitiya. The tunnel measures 1.1 kilometers in length and has a diameter of 3 meters. The cost for the construction is estimated to stand at 5.2 billion rupees. China Petroleum Pipeline Engineering Company has been involved in several mega projects concerning crude oil and natural gas in several countries. No one would oppose such projects. However, there are certain matters that need to be taken into consideration. The first is the absence of a proper mechanism to drain rainwater, although there are several canals in the Colombo city since ancient times. The second is whether large amounts of rainwater must be allowed to flow into the sea without being used for any purpose. Isn't an explanation required over these projects that are being carried out at a massive cost?
Residents in several houses behind the Valikal Magazine prison and school children of the Sivali Central College in Colombo have been affected due to the influx of wastewater from the Valikal Magazine prison.
According to the residents, the wastewater is flowing from the women's ward of the Magazine prison. They complain that this polluted water is also flowing through their houses. According to a correspondent, the contaminated water that flows through the houses from the prison flows to the main road and then to the Sivali Central College in Colombo.
Water starts flowing from here at around 9 in the morning. All the pipes in the back are broken. Water flows through our house. We have a 3-month-old infant in our house. There are 3 children in this house. It's been 3 or 4 months now. Still, it's the same. Polluted water from the prison is what flows here. It's the wastewater coming out of their toilets and flowing through our homes. There is no way for our children to even eat here. We can't even stay inside the house. The road is better than the house.
The residents of the area are requesting for an immediate solution to the problem.
Former Director of State Intelligence Service Nilantha Jayawardena has said he had contacted President Maithripala Sirisena's official residence on multiple occasions before the April 21st attacks last year. This was after receiving foreign intelligence warnings of an impending attack.
Testifying at the Presidential Commission probing the 2019 April 21st attacks, former State Intelligence Service Director Nilantha Jayawardena said he had contacted former President Maithripala Sirisena's official residence 6 times on the month of the attacks. The conversations had taken place on the 8th, 9th, 12th, 13th, 14th and 15th of April last year. However, it was not revealed before the Commission whether the foreign intelligence warnings of the attacks received on the 4th of April last year had been conveyed to the President or an official at the President's residence during these conversations. Meanwhile, the former SIS director said that the warnings sent by foreign intelligence units of the attacks could only be considered as information and not as intelligence information. He told the Commission that the SIS had to develop that information to an intelligence report.
The International Atomic Energy Agency has handed over a US-funded COVID-19 test kit to the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Colombo.
The test kit carries supplies to conduct 2,000 PCR tests and contains an RT-PCR machine, personal protective equipment and other essential safety tools. The test kit is valued at an estimated $118,000. The Medical Research Institute of Sri Lanka and the National Hospital in Kandy will use the diagnostic kit. Further, the International Atomic Energy Agency has provided training to local personnel to encourage safe use of the equipment and reliable testing going forward.
US President Donald Trump secured sufficient votes to be re-nominated as Republicans' pick ahead of the November 3rd election against Democrat Joe Biden. Republican delegates participated in a roll call vote and announced their pledge to vote for Trump on day 1 of the Republican convention being held in North Carolina.
We have to be very, very careful, and you have to watch, every one of you have to watch, because bad things happened last time with the spying on our campaign, and that goes to Biden and that goes to Obama, and this time they're trying to do it with the whole post office scam. They'll blame it on the post office. You can see them setting it up. Be very careful and watch it very carefully, because we have to win. This is the most important election in the history of our country.
Addressing delegates in person at a party conference that has been dramatically scaled back by COVID-19, Trump accused Democrats of using COVID to steal an election. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's family will take center stage alongside the U.S. president at this week's Republican convention, with all 4 of his adult children being given speaking slots. Organizers have scheduled a son, daughter, wife or in-law to speak each evening, programming a convention heavily reliant on his immediate family to provide character weakness and a humanizing touch for what is otherwise expected to be a bombastic 4-day event, salted with cultural battles and outsized spectacle. Eric Trump, like all 4 of Trump's adult children, is scheduled to speak at his convention this week. The First Lady will also address the convention from the newly renovated White House Rose Garden. Even the significant others of Trump's 2 grown sons, both on his campaign's payroll, will speak. The first night of the 4-day Republican National Convention started off yesterday. The convention began after Republicans earlier in the day formally backed President Donald Trump's bid for a second term.
And that's the wrap of this edition of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Mazra Hassan with our sign language interpreter, Brian D. Cruz. Thank you for joining us. Take care and good night.